So, what can the catalyst meditation do to stop our global chaos? Um, First of all, let's talk about a little bit about what won't stop it. Then let's talk about what will stop it. And then let me give you some behaviors of stopping, or I should say, transforming unwanted behavior. And I would like to say that I believe that this is the only thing that can change this kind of behavior. So, um, what won't stop our global chaos? You can't stop breaker consciousness with more breaker consciousness. Now, for those of you who have read any of my books, you know what I mean by breaker consciousness. If you haven't read any of my books, basically, it's the consciousness that's running our world right now, our human world right now. And it's the consciousness that is leading us to destruction. Um, you can't stop violence with more violence. And if you look at how deeply invested we are in violence, whenever there's any conflict going on, the only thing we have to offer to the conflict is but more violence. And what we wind up doing is picking one side or the other and just giving them a whole bunch of weapons and then watch what happens. You can't stop mental dysfunction with more mental dysfunction. We have no answers for this. And so what we wind up doing is say, okay, just take these pills and get out of my office. And people come back in the office saying the pills aren't working anymore. Well, I got some more pills for you. Let's take these pills and don't forget to take those pills too. And we have a major problem in our society that we don't even talk about because we know we have no answer for it. You can't stop spiritual starvation with anything other than spirit. It doesn't work. And that's one of the things we're trying to do with um, causing, first of all, calling a spiritual crisis a mental crisis. It's not. And trying to fix the mental crisis with pills, and they don't work. So we've got all these different strategies that we use. And the bottom line is we have to do something different. But then when we start proposing this different thing, we either get pushback or we get, oh, that's really interesting, Sharif. I don't have time for that right now. I'll talk to you later. Bye. And that becomes how we handle our crises. Ignore them. Okay, so if that won't stop the crisis, the chaos, what will stop it? Well, I'll tell you that in about 10 minutes. But first of all, I want to say it's very interesting when you see how our society structures our information of what we can see. We have lots and lots of evidence that a collective viewpoint, what I'm calling holonic consciousness, and a nonviolent viewpoint and a visionary viewpoint outranks everything else you can do. It's what we should be doing. It's what I've been advocating that we do. And it's time for us to get that advocacy up to a new level. And I want to remind you that the people in my lineage, the people in my lineage of societal transformation, have been doing this for decades, have been working it for decades. It's been successful for decades, and we're still ignoring it. The people in my lineage, like, for example, Mahatma Gandhi. Um, you remember he said to the British, we want you to leave as friends, but we definitely want you to leave. And the reply to that by Lord Mountbatten was, you can't seriously expect us to simply walk out of India, the richest province, the richest colony that the British have. That's impossible. He said, can't be done. And then there are these pictures of Lord Mountbatten lowering the British flag and raising the Indian flag over a free and independent India. It wasn't exactly as impossible as he thought it was. We have our own examples of this in this country. Martin Luther King taking ordinary actions and elevating them to this consciousness changing moment. And by ordinary actions, I mean, walking down the street, riding a bus, going to the Woolworths counter and buying a hot dog and a Coke. All of that very ordinary behavior, opposed by the consciousness of the time, led to a transformation of consciousness. So buying a hot dog and a Coke led to the signing of the Civil Rights Act and led to Martin Luther King receiving the Nobel Peace Prize. Years later, the people in Berlin were advocating for taking the wall down. And Erich Honecker, the head of East Germany at the time, famous for turning the guns on anybody who tried to cross that wall. He was asked, how long do you think the Berlin Wall will last? And he confidently said, the Berlin Wall will last another 100 years. And from the time he said that, the Berlin Wall didn't last another 100 hours. Now, that's how rapid this kind of change can be. I was in Berlin a couple of weeks after the wall came down. And I wanted to go specifically because I wanted to see what a revolution actually looked like. And I'm very proud to say that there's still a whole lot of wall standing. And so I had my chance to chip at the wall, and somewhere down in my storage bin, I've got a little vial full of my strikes for freedom. And, but it was when people started crossing the wall, Erich Honecker ordered his troops to open fire on them, and they refused. The consciousness shift never hit him. He doesn't have to be the one that you address. And I say this as all the people who continue to focus their energy on Donald Trump. Trump isn't the problem. No, I'm sorry. Trump isn't the locus of the problem. The problem, well, I'll tell you what the problem is in about 5 minutes. Okay. We also have Václav Havel and the folks of Obchansky Forum defeating the second largest superpower in the world at the time, the Soviet Union, without firing a single shot. And they did that not because they aimed opposing energy, but because they aimed consciousness energy. Same thing with Nelson Mandela, and I've got this great picture, if I can call it up real quick, of uh, when when you keep someone in prison for 27 years, over a quarter of a century, and he gets out of prison smiling, what does that say to his consciousness and how he could infect someone else with that consciousness, smiling even when he was inside the prison? I may not have said this, I don't think I said it to this group. And if I did, you're going to hear it again. This is a story that I heard. I went over to South Africa and gave a speech and a workshop at the Nelson Mandela Foundation. And while I was there, I heard this story about when he was president, he liked going to a particular fast food restaurant. Fast food in South Africa is actually pretty good. Um, and he had himself and his security detail, and they were there, and they'd been there before, and they got their food, and they're sitting. And it's a mixed race fast food place. And a white guy that walked into the restaurant, and Mandela said to his security guards, asked this guy to come over and sit at our table. And the guy came over, and Mandela didn't say anything to him. And he sat down, and he was eating his food, and they ate together. And when he was finished, the guy got up and left. And the security detail said, what was that all about? And he said, when I was in the prison, I was regularly beaten and tortured. And they had beaten him all day long at one point. And he begged one of the guards that he just asked for some water. He needed to drink some water. And the guard unzipped and urinated on him. And that guy that he invited over to share his meal with was the guard. Now, I would have thought of a whole lot of other things to do with this guy. And I had the security detail to enforce that. But instead, he acted, and I'd like to say he acted like a human being, but I think he acted as more than a human being. This was above and beyond the call of duty. And I think all of us have to be at that level, to be up and above the call of duty. And finally, on this list of examples of transforming unwanted behavior, I have Dr. A.T. Aryaratne of the Sarvodaya movement in Sri Lanka, that I was intimately connected with, and to helped to end their 30-plus-year-old war, helped to get a ceasefire going. So let's talk about what's going to stop that kind of behavior. Number one, it won't stop. You can't try to stop the behavior. If you try to stop it, you give energy to the behavior itself. You have to focus on transforming it. And focusing on transforming the behavior is tantamount. You have to really understand the behavior in order to stop it. This was something Dr. Aryaratne from of the Sarvodaya movement had created this huge radio. And by that, this is my analogy of his creating a huge organization. Hundreds of thousands of people on the island were influenced by Sarvodaya. And for 30 years, he tried to end the war between the group in the world known as the Tamil Tigers and the government. And for 30 years, he failed. It didn't, the war kept getting stronger. I got there in 95. I started looking at this situation in 96. And I proposed some changes to what Sarvodaya was doing with regard to its peace efforts. I called it tuning the radio. He built the radio. He powered the radio. I just turned the dial a little bit, and I told him, I said, if you implement these things, this war is going to end in 2 to 5 years. Well, I was wrong about that. It ended in 18 months. And when it ended, the ending was so powerful. The ending was so abrupt. Inside of Sarvodaya, we were like, did we do it? Was it that easy? We actually didn't announce anything and didn't do any celebrating for 2 weeks, saying, is this ceasefire going to hold? You know, and it was very powerful, very robust. It held for 9 years. And that methodology, the methodology of how to tune the radio, is something that I've been trying to teach in this country and in other countries for over a decade. It's amazing who doesn't want to hear it. They want their own solution. They don't want the solution that actually works. So, what's going to work? Using targeted, focused, holonic consciousness. You focus on consciousness. That's why Sarvodaya did these huge peace meditations, to get people's attention focused on that level of consciousness. And by huge, I meant 100,000 people, 200,000 people, 300,000 people, all dressed in white, all coming up to a particular spot. And things changed. The second thing that you do while you are doing this focused consciousness, what Dr. Aryaratne called shifting the psychosphere, is having targeted, focused, demonstrative activity. You need to demonstrate the vision that you're talking about. What Dr. King was saying was, we should be able to walk down the street. So you got a group of people together and they walk down the street and they turn police dogs and fire hoses and guns and everything on them. And the next week, the same people walk down the street again. And by doing that, they changed the consciousness of the people that were in that area. You need a vision to focus on. For as many years, as Donald Trump has been on the scene, we have had this focus on stop Donald Trump. He gets stronger and stronger and stronger because he's the living example of the law of attraction. You keep talking about it, you get more of it. We have had a vision, and that vision is that we can create a world that works for all living beings. I wear it every day on as I go out, and people look at the button and they're like, "What's that about? I don't understand that." Or I like the idea, but how do you do that? Um, I get interesting conversations around it, but this allows me to focus my attention of what I'm doing out in the world. So uh, the other part of that is the demonstrative activity of how do you actually act in the world? How do you act in the world in such a way that, first of all, the consciousness of the world can see you? It doesn't matter whether or not um, President Trump sees your activity or anybody else's. Um, what matters is whether you see it and all of the beings of the world can see it. And whether all of us in the world who have been negatively impacted by breaker consciousness over the last centuries can change that picture by joining with each other. And by joining with each other, I don't mean just humans, I mean all beings. And if we can do that, and as we can do that, we will change. So, very quickly, the first thing you have to do is shifting consciousness. Being anti-establishment does not mean you've shifted your consciousness one bit. What that means is you want to take over from this person so you can act the same way. Having a vision means more than either supporting the status quo or supporting the opposition. Operating from joy, operating from the joy that's inside your heart, replaces fear and anger. Operating from excitement, being excited about what we're doing, is the cure for depression and despair. Operating from holonic consciousness, this isn't just my consciousness, this is the consciousness of all. Operating from holonic consciousness is the antidote to ego consciousness. Focusing on the power of all, especially all non-humans, all more than humans, is the antidote for power over. And vision implementation, acting as if you're free, is the opposite of protesting. Okay, that takes up all of my time. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Catalyst meditation. This is our weekly meditation. Welcome to those who are joining us today, joining us new, and also joining us who are here the last times. Welcome to those, if there are any, who are following on the outline, and I don't see any right now. And welcome to those who've been with us before, but can't join us today for some reason. The first thing that we do is a centering meditation. And the centering meditation follows a program. What we do is spend 3 minutes of synchronizing our breathing, and then another 3 minutes of silent centering. we're centering on ourselves, and we're centering on all of our cells, all 10 trillion of our cells in our bodies, in and on our bodies. We're also centering on all other living beings. Um, and I will set our timer. And let's continue our breathing for another 3 minutes. And if we can come back to our mutual center, we'll continue with our catalyst meditation by setting our intentions. We act for ourselves personally, and we act as aspects of Gaia, of Mother Earth. Holonic consciousness is a fundamental aspect of the universe. Every atom in the universe holds consciousness. It is always with us. We're acknowledging that now because many humans have forgotten, and many humans have been in denial. We act to reawaken our connection to Gaia for the benefit of all living beings. And we acknowledge our connection to all beings. This connection includes all humans, including those who have gone before and those who are to come. All beings who thrive on and in the air. All beings who thrive on and in the water. All beings who thrive on and in the earth. All beings who thrive on and in our bodies. All beings that thrive on light, the beings of the plant realms. All meta beings, including the earth as a living meta being, air as a living meta being, fire as a living meta being, water as a living meta being, all colony beings, meta beings that are collections of solo beings. And this includes murmurations, colonies, schools, hives, pods, flocks, herds, migrations, swarms, and other forms of meta beings, and all other forms of consciousness, known and unknown to us. Having acknowledged these beings, we now blend our energies. May all who are part of Mother Earth be connected to and in perfect health, harmony, and balance with each other and with Gaia for the common good. We are in perfect physical health, harmony, and balance. We are in perfect emotional health, harmony, and balance. We are in perfect relational health, harmony, and balance. We are in perfect mental health, harmony, and balance. We are in perfect spiritual health, harmony, and balance. We are in perfect holonic health, harmony, and balance. We are in perfect spatial and temporal health, harmony, and balance. We are in the perfect place, at the perfect time, in the perfect conditions, and with the perfect beings. And now we set our declarations. We declare that Gaia, Mother Earth, is the ultimate governing principle, the way that humans govern their behavior on this planet, replacing all other forms of human governance. This is the way our behavior aligns with the will of the earth. We declare that humans are colony beings. We deepen and expand our human murmurations. We declare that Gaia, Mother Earth, is providing all necessary resources to achieve the vision of a world that works for all living beings. We declare that we are creating a political and economic system where all beings participate in it, all beings are in relationship with it, all beings own it, all beings benefit from it, and all beings govern it for the common good. We are now going to meditate within this holonic energy. We're going to meditate within this energy of Gaia, Mother Earth. We'll be listening for any messages that we may receive. We'll be making any personal requests, and we'll be deepening and expanding our human experience of our human murmurations. And we'll do so for approximately 8 minutes, starting now. And if we can come back to our mutual center, we'll conclude our catalyst meditation with our inclusivity mantra. If you wish, you can repeat after me. May I be well. May I be secure. May I be happy. May you be well. May you be secure. May you be happy. May we be well. May we be secure. May we be happy. And may all beings be well. May all beings be secure. And may all beings be happy. And so it is, and so it shall be. And I want to thank you for joining us with our catalyst meditation. A number of you asked if you could have the video so that you could do this on a time when when the group is not meeting. I have done that, and I need to find out how to get it to you, since I don't want to just hand it out to everybody and kind of like, throw it against the wall and see what sticks. Like, I would rather give it to people who actually want it. I guess this means I'll send out another flyer that says, if you want the solo meditation, you should ask for it. If you know that you want the solo meditation, you can ask for it in the chat box. And if I remember to save the chat box, I'll grab it and I will send it to you. The same goes for the outline that I use. And let me show this to you real quick. This is where is it? It's right here. Okay, so let me move us back over this way. So this is the meditation, the catalyst meditation that I read from, or whoever is running, facilitating the meditation reads from every day. Our welcoming, our intentions. You'll see that there's a number of different colors I use for experimental wordings that will try to make things flow better, or red meaning this isn't working very well, I'm changing it to something else. People can suggest anything that not anything, let's be reasonable. No Geico commercials. But they can suggest changes. This isn't my document. This isn't your document. This is our document. There are times when I truncate this, when I shorten it for whatever reasons. And then there are other times when, as I'm talking, wording comes to me. So if you would like this and you would like the ability to suggest things, then yeah, I will, let me know, and I will Joanne asks a question here. Thank you, Sharif, and everyone who participated. Would we want to add all non-beings as well to the inclusivity prayer. Um, I have struggled with that. I'm I am very sensitive to um, there are beings who no longer have bodies. There are beings who have never had bodies. There are uh, lots of different forms of beings. Oh, there's lots and lots of beings who are not on Earth, never been on Earth. Kind of stay away from it. That's kind of kind of kindergarten. um, and I'm open to considering that. Um, I really want to keep things focused on this planet right now, because this is the planet that's going through the chaos that we are experiencing. I really want to focus on um, beings that I would like to expand past the beings that we have direct experience with after we get ourselves grounded in the beings that we experience every single day and we ignore. Okay. Um, this is something that happened to me when I was still living in North Carolina. A friend of mine um, was exclaiming to me how she had just uh, flown to Hawaii to have this experience of swimming with dolphins. And I said, um, have you ever gone across town to swim with little black boys and little black girls in the community pool? And she looked at me like, what are you talking about? Why would I do a thing like that? It's like, why would you get on a plane and swim with beings that are nothing like you? And you won't do that with beings that are just like you. And it really opened her eyes to seeing the world a different way. So before I get too far out there with regard to um, who I would be inviting to the Catalyst meditation, um, I would be um, uh, I want us to really, really be open to all beings. The hardest thing I've got going right now is recognizing that this being right here that I'm pointing to is comprised of somewhere between 10 trillion species and over 100 trillion, perhaps even 1,000 trillion beings. I I get tired of me thinking about me like that. And many of these beings are not in accord with all the other beings. I don't know why every single human being on the planet has streptococcus bacteria in their throats. You've got it right now. I've got it right now. You can't get rid of them without some really gnarly stuff. No one can figure out how to do that. Remember, the good old days of medicine is if you can't figure it out, um, it's junk and we should cut it out. That's how lots and lots of folks lost their tonsils. Um, I remember the kids that would have like a cold and they'd say, "Oh, it's my tonsils. I want my tonsils out so I can get the ice cream." um, so you need E. coli in your guts. You need it, and everybody's got it. And if you didn't have it, you wouldn't be living here. Um, so, um, so we should come to peace with all of that. Um, and because I have my glasses, okay, if you don't see me with my glasses on, I can't read the chat box. I saw something bounce up, so I'm gonna see that Joanne says, thank you for your reply. Sounds good. I'm thinking of how to include our trees and plants and mountains that support us and who we need to care for. Two things with that. First of all, and I'm going to go back to our catalyst meditation for a second and see, after we set our intentions, we acknowledge our connections to all beings, starting with all humans, because most people stop right there, like that person over there is not really a human being, or I don't want to include them, or I don't like them, or they don't like me. It's like, get over it, because we got a whole lot more beings to go through. The beings of the air, the beings of the water, the beings of the earth, the beings of our bodies. And then later on, I had to remember we didn't include anything green here. So the beings of the green realms, and that didn't feel quite right. And I've changed that to all beings that thrive on light, the beings of the plant realms, and that's still missing some. There's lots and lots of beings. I want to say this very carefully. There are lots of beings that live on this planet that don't know that the sun exists. They've never experienced it. They've never seen it. They've never experienced it even indirectly, like eating food that thrived on the sun. They can live in geothermal vents. They live on the minerals that just pop out of the ground, and they have an existence that is completely different from what we have. And yes, and that's part of our family also. The second thing I want to say about that, though, is, and Joanne and everyone else, I want us to be careful about the caring for part. I believe that there are lots and lots of beings that we are interwoven with, that we care for each other, and we are cared for by each other. But I've seen some people talk about caring for other beings, and it has hints of the days when we thought we owned other beings. It's our job to take care of them. And Ilarion McCurliff, my partner, and we're talking now, getting our act back on the road here. We don't have an act, and we also don't have a road. Getting our videos back in operation here. But Ilarion, who is a native person, and for those of you who haven't experienced him yet, says we have to be careful that a lot of our care, a lot of the things that we called our care, have caused the problems on the planet. The first thing that we need to do in terms of care is leaving things alone, recognizing that Mother Earth is really, really, really smart, knows what to do, knows why this streptococcus bacteria is in my throat, knows better than I do that it should be there. Okay. Um, that that our um, that once we recognize that there is intelligence beyond us, then we can start seeing some things in a different way. And at that point, our caring can be focused, can be balanced, can be joyfully received. Um, and uh, I'm learning that. I mean, a lot of times when Ilarian and I are talking, I'm like, yeah, number one, you're right. Yeah, number two, I'll get this one of these days. So, yeah, so I'm working on it along with everyone else. Okay, I am not seeing any questions, so let's go ahead and wrap up here. I see a number of you said that you wanted to receive the outline and the video. I'll get those out to you. Um, I'm going to ask that you not share the video without telling me that you're sharing it. I'm not for any reason. I mean, there's not secret information in there. It's not copyrighted anything, etc. But it really is. I'm trying to see where the pathways of things go. So if you've got if you have a group you want to do this with, definitely let me know. I would appreciate it. And if you've got a person or a few people that you would like to, you've been talking about this meditation with, and you want to do that with them, then that would be great. This needs to spread. Our numbers are going that way and not that way. We need to we need to get more and more and more people into this. My means are relatively limited, and I would like to get. We need to be up to some certain numbers before the psychosphere is paying attention to us. Um, in Sri Lanka, we could put 100,000 people on a given spot with a month's notice. So if I said on April 15th, we would like to have 100,000 people in Portland, Oregon, we do it. Now, I don't know anybody who can do that. I don't know any group that can do that in this country. Um, they need a year or more to do that, and it would take a massive effort to do that. So I am we got a hill to climb here. Okay, I'll let you go. I will see you next week. Next Thursday, we will come back and do this again. Talk to you later. Bye.